February the 9th, 2014. Guys, we've had a second filament release. We've watched these come around the sun. We saw the first large one release a couple of days ago, remember? Now that CME is headed to Earth. Now the first half of this big U that's been coming around, and again, I said this would be the week of the filaments. They were just too big and there were too many on this side of the sun. It's released another Earth-facing CME. Now, it may not be quite as strong as the first one, but it's strong, and now the flare trackers are picking them up. Same identical thing happened. It released, the remaining particles were pulled back to the surface and created a Hyder flare. Now, this is what we were watching last night. Top left is the release in the report last night of the smaller filament. When you say smaller, probably 80, 100,000 miles long. This one is probably about 250,000 miles long, this filament. It's very large. The surface of the sun is over 800,000 across it. Now, you can, again, it's picking up this burst of energy, and that's what you're seeing. The proton and the proton electron charts, all of that are picking this energy up as it's coming towards Earth. If you remember the flare tracker from the video when the first filament released a couple of days ago, they had that thing arriving at around midnight on the 20th UTC time, which would have put it just after dark on the East Coast. Now that has been advanced by 42 hours. Not sure how that time lapse got in there. In other words, unless it's moving so much faster than they thought. And remember what a whiplash motion that was. Here's your, this is the protons from the ACE satellite. Check that out. And guys, it takes a lot to pick up this proton flux from GOS 13. But see this line right here, guys? You're looking at two flares. The first one, notice the date up there. That's past this time. But this first one coming up here, at that time was scheduled to be at midnight tomorrow night, and I'll show you that. See the chart in the bottom left? I saved it from the video. Look at the time, 21st. Look all the way down to the bottom. That was when that one's coming in. Now it's been advanced back 42 hours until tonight around, that's going to be around 11 to midnight on the East Coast when that first shock wave comes in. Then the second one comes in tomorrow, and I'll show you that. But here's what we're talking about. 11 p.m. tonight on the East Coast. That's taking, notice it's 600 hours UTC. Back out about 6 hours, put you at midnight, okay? Start looking forward to that because there's a plus or minus 6 hours in this time. The second one, you'll see coming in there. That's the second release Thursday around noon Eastern is the way that should play out. We're going to see it. Now, the second one's not as powerful, but the first one is a sudden rise. So there's going to be some weakness created by that on our tectonic plates. And you can also see the jump in the differences in the radial speed, that zigzag pattern. So again, we got a 42-hour update on the arrival of the first CME. Now this is linear, latest images. And Earth is not on this satellite, guys. It's behind Venus, about to come into that camera. But that's the path. You're going to see it come out into the center of this camera, close to, past where Mars is, and we're going to watch Comet Linear dive straight down to it. It's going to appear that they're going to hit one another before this is all said and done. Now, we may have a rendezvous with that rock and its debris field, guys. Something else that's interesting, and I'm going to do a lot of double checking on it. I've been looking at the JPL, and it seems to be quite a difference in the speeds day to day. And I know we're dealing with a little different situation. When we were looking at the speeds, if you remember on the iSun chart, iSun was in a direct path towards the sun. Now, the Earth is spinning and coming around into the ecliptic. Linear is diving, not straight down as it appears there, but remember on the JPL it's an arc coming in, so they're diving as in a V towards one another. That's what it looks like, a half of a triangle with linear coming into the top. And that speed and the distance should the distance should decrease, the speed possibly increase, but shouldn't vary that much because it's not racing towards the sun. Now, we had a fireball in Argentina last night. Was that a gravity-affected fireball, or was it again a look left while everything's happening to the right, the way we were done with the Russian thing in 2012, the A-14? That's kind of an old game. They need to find a new one. But the strikes that are coming in, the fireball reports, each one, if you'll look at AMS or Lunar Meteorite Hunters, you'll see almost everyone says it's the largest one I've ever seen. What's that telling you guys? And reporting the earth shaking in Argentina yesterday, just like the one that did in Russia. But it's a heads up on this. Don't forget, tonight at 6 p.m. Central Time, at 7 East Coast, Paul Begley and Michael are going to be my guests on Blog Talk Radio. I'll put a link here. If you go to Blog Talk, it's just look under BP Earthwatch, guys. Heads up, be safe.